I need you to listen carefully, because what I'm about to say could change everything for you. Right now, you might be feeling stuck. You might be tired. You might be frustrated, angry, or overwhelmed with the weight of life. You might feel like no one sees you. No one appreciates your effort, and no one understands the grind you're on every single day. But let me tell you something. The world doesn't care. It doesn't care about your excuses. It doesn't care about your frustration. And it certainly doesn't care about your complaints. The world only responds to one thing: action, energy, and the power you create from within. And there is one force, one secret, one weapon that can take that frustration, that pain, that anger, and transform it into unstoppable momentum. That force is gratitude. I know what you're thinking. Gratitude? You're telling me to be thankful when everything around me feels like chaos? When doors are closed, opportunities are denied, and people have let me down? I'm not asking you to ignore reality. I'm telling you to take the reality, take the struggle, take the pain, and weaponize it. I'm telling you to flip the switch in your mind and use gratitude as your fuel, your fire, and your weapon. Because here's the truth. Grateful people are unstoppable. Grateful people don't wait for permission. Grateful people don't wait for luck. Grateful people dominate life in ways that talent, money, or privilege alone can never achieve. And I'm here to show you how right now. Think about the people who have invested in you, even quietly. Think about the opportunities you've been given, even the ones you almost overlooked. Think about the lessons hidden inside every struggle, every failure, and every setback you've ever faced. That's your arsenal. That's your fuel. That's your momentum waiting to be unleashed. Most people waste it. Most people complain, blame, and quit. But you're not going to be most people. You're going to take that power, harness it, and let it drive you toward the life you know you're capable of living. I want you to imagine what it would feel like to wake up every day and move with purpose, intensity, and unstoppable energy, knowing that gratitude is in your blood, that every challenge is fuel, and that every relationship, every moment, every struggle is a tool in your hands to rise higher than you ever thought possible. That's not a dream. That's a choice. That's a decision. And it starts with the way you think, the way you feel, and the way you act today. So I need you to commit with me right now, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. I need you to open your mind and embrace a truth that will transform your life. Gratitude is not weakness. Gratitude is not comfort. Gratitude is power. Gratitude is domination. Gratitude is the engine that will take your pain, your struggle, your hustle, and turn it into the unstoppable force that carries you past every obstacle, every doubter, and every fear standing between you and greatness. If you understand this, if you feel it in your chest right now, then you are ready. You are ready to rise. You are ready to grind. You are ready to dominate. You are ready to own your life starting today. Gratitude is not just a simple act of saying thank you. It is a force so powerful that it can completely redefine the way you perceive yourself, the world around you, and the possibilities that lie before you. Most people walk through life blind to the blessings they already possess, chasing dreams, chasing success, chasing validation, without ever stopping to acknowledge what they already have. And that is exactly why so many talented, capable individuals never reach their full potential. They are stuck in a mindset of lack, a mindset of not enough, where fear, envy, and frustration dominate their actions. But when you choose gratitude, when you deliberately take the time to recognize and appreciate the opportunities, the lessons, the people, and even the struggles in your life, something extraordinary happens. Your mind expands. Gratitude creates space in your consciousness for growth, for clarity, and for a sense of empowerment that cannot be taught, bought, or borrowed. It unlocks doors that ambition alone cannot pry open. When you are grateful, you are no longer a victim of circumstance. You no longer define yourself by what is missing, by what has gone wrong, by what others have or do that you don't. Instead, you anchor yourself in a reality that is abundant. You begin to see that even in the smallest victories, there is power. You begin to realize that your life, with all its imperfections, carries within it the tools, the lessons, and the raw potential for greatness. Gratitude shifts your focus from what you lack to what you possess. And this shift is not just psychological, it is transformative. The mind does not function in a vacuum. The thoughts you feed yourself, the emotions you entertain, the patterns you reinforce through awareness all dictate your actions. Gratitude acts as a master key. It rewires your neural pathways to focus on possibilities instead of limitations, to see resources instead of obstacles, and to feel capable instead of defeated. Consider this. When you wake up each morning, and instead of complaining about what you don't have, you acknowledge the breath in your lungs, the strength in your body, the people who support you, or the lessons hidden in your failures. You are literally activating a chain reaction within yourself. You are telling your mind and your body that you are equipped to handle today. You are reminding yourself that you are already in possession of gifts, skills, and abilities that can be leveraged to achieve extraordinary results. This practice creates a momentum that compounds with every thought, every action, every acknowledgement of something to be thankful for. The energy that comes from gratitude fuels effort, determination, and resilience. It is what separates those who talk about dreams from those who actually execute them relentlessly. Gratitude does not make you passive. On the contrary, it ignites action. When you appreciate what you have, you begin to see how to maximize it. You start making smarter decisions. You stop wasting energy on envy, on comparing yourself to others, on fear, and on doubt. Instead, you use that energy to push harder, to plan better, to train longer, and to grind with precision. Imagine a person who is frustrated by every setback, every failure, every criticism. They are constantly resisting life, and that resistance burns them out mentally and physically. Now imagine someone who, in the same circumstance, looks for something to be grateful for. The lesson in failure, the awareness in criticism, the push in adversity. That person's energy is not scattered. It is concentrated, focused, and unstoppable. Gratitude unlocks potential because it converts the raw materials of your life, everything you already possess, into fuel for extraordinary performance. Think about it. How many times have you underestimated yourself because you failed to recognize the resources at your disposal? How many times have opportunities passed you by because your eyes were fixed on what you lacked rather than what you could leverage? Gratitude forces you to confront reality, not through the lens of scarcity, but through the lens of empowerment. It trains you to inventory your life, to assess your capabilities, and to see that the only thing truly standing between you and your dreams is the mindset that you choose to embrace. When gratitude becomes a habit, it sharpens your focus on what matters. It increases your creativity, and it develops an unwavering sense of self-efficacy, the belief that you can and you will, because you already have more than enough to start with. The most successful people, the ones who move mountains, the ones who rise against every odds, are not just talented or lucky. They are grateful. They understand that every struggle, every person, every setback, and every blessing is a building block for their growth. They don't waste time wishing for more. They use what they have to create more. They understand that potential is not found in material wealth, in status, or in recognition. Potential is unlocked when the mind is aligned with appreciation, when the heart acknowledges a be, undance, and when the soul recognizes opportunity in everything. Gratitude transforms your internal world, and your internal world dictates your external reality. If you want to be unstoppable, if you want to tap into a level of energy, motivation, and drive that others cannot comprehend, it starts with appreciation. It starts with seeing what you already have, saying thank you, and using it as a foundation to build an empire of effort, discipline, and results. Here is the truth. Many fail to understand. Your life is already full of seeds of greatness. They are not obvious at first. They are hidden in relationships, skills, lessons, and experiences. But when gratitude shines a light on them, those seeds grow into massive, life-changing outcomes. Gratitude trains your brain to notice resources and solutions, to amplify strengths, and to neutralize self-doubt. It is the lens through which you see opportunity instead of limitation, power instead of weakness, and hope instead of despair. When you internalize this truth, every morning becomes a platform for execution. Every challenge becomes a proving ground. Every setback becomes a step forward. And every victory, no matter how small, becomes a reminder of what is possible when you align effort with appreciation. Gratitude is not optional. It is essential. It is not passive. It is active. It does not weaken. It strengthens. And the most powerful realization you can ever have is that gratitude unlocks your potential because it rewires your mind, amplifies your energy, and transforms your perspective. The moment you embrace gratitude, the moment you decide to stop taking things for granted, you stop limiting yourself. You stop waiting for external validation. You stop blaming circumstances. And you start realizing something revolutionary. Everything you need to become extraordinary is already in your possession. You just have to see it, honor it, and use it relentlessly. When you grasp this, you begin to move differently, think differently, and act differently. You start waking up with purpose. You start executing with fire, and you start living a life that reflects the magnitude of what you already have. Gratitude is the key. It is the spark that ignites potential into performance. It is the secret weapon that turns ordinary people into extraordinary forces. It is the foundation upon which every success story, every legacy, every triumph begins. And the most powerful truth of all is that it costs nothing. Gratitude does not require fame, fortune, or validation. All it requires is your awareness, your choice, and your refusal to remain blind to the blessings that are already yours. When you harness gratitude, you unlock your potential. And once that door is open, nothing, and I mean nothing, can hold you back. Most people live their lives trapped in scarcity, trapped in a mindset that whispers lies into their ears every single day. You don't have enough. You're not good enough. It's too late for you. Someone else already got what you want. And because they listen, because they allow that voice to dominate their thoughts, they make decisions from a place of fear, hesitation, and limitation. Scarcity is a killer. It doesn't just rob you of opportunities. It robs you of your energy, your creativity, your courage, and even your joy. Scarcity makes you compare yourself to everyone else. And comparison is a thief. Scarcity makes you chase what you think you're missing instead of building on what you already have. Scarcity keeps you small, keeps you defensive, keeps you stagnant. But here is the truth, the powerful, life-changing truth. The only difference between scarcity and abundance is a shift in perspective. The moment you decide to see the world through the lens of abundance, everything changes. Shifting from scarcity to abundance is not just about thinking positively. It's not about pretending that everything is perfect or ignoring the challenges. It's about recognizing that no matter where you are, no matter what you lack materially, emotionally, or socially, there is always more than enough around you. There are opportunities hidden in the struggles, lessons embedded in failures, and resources waiting for those who are willing to see them. Scarcity is about fear. Abundance is about faith. Scarcity says, I can't. Abundance says, I will find a way. Scarcity says, I don't have. Abundance says, I have enough to start, and I will build. The moment you start thinking in terms of abundance, you start making moves that scarcity-minded people never even consider. You start creating, innovating, and taking calculated risks because your foundation is not lack. It is recognition of what is already possible. Living in scarcity is exhausting. It's a constant fight, a constant grind, and yet you go nowhere because you are feeding the wrong mindset. Every day you focus on what you don't have, on what others have, and on the obstacles in your path. And in doing so, you train your mind to only see limits. Scarcity narrows your vision. It blinds you to possibilities. It convinces you that resources are finite, that success is a limited pie, and that if someone else succeeds, it diminishes your chance. This is a lie, a destructive lie, and one of the most dangerous illusions you can ever believe. The truth is that abundance is everywhere. The universe is not small. Opportunity is not limited. Your time, your energy, your focus, your talents, they are all tools for abundance. And when you begin to operate from this understanding, you stop waiting for permission. You stop asking for handouts, and you start building your empire with your own hands, fueled by a mindset that refuses to accept limits. Abundance is a muscle, and like any muscle, it must be trained. You train it by acknowledging your wins, by counting your blessings, by refusing to compare yourself to others, and by focusing on the resources you do have instead of lamenting what you don't. When you do this consistently, your brain rewires itself. Your perspective shifts from not enough to more than enough, and suddenly doors that seem closed begin to open. You notice mentors who were invisible before. You see opportunities where others see obstacles. You find solutions where others see problems. Scarcity narrows your vision. Abundance expands it. Scarcity keeps you in survival mode. Abundance puts you in growth mode. And growth is where potential turns into results, where dreams turn into reality, and where a life of fulfillment is built brick by brick with intentional action. The most successful people in history, the ones who left legacies, who built empires, who changed the world, they all operate in a mindset of abundance. They understand that life is not a competition in which one person wins while another loses. They understand that the universe has enough for those who are willing to see it and take it. They understand that the true power is not in hoarding or fearing scarcity, but in leveraging what you have to create even more. When you see abundance, your energy changes. You stop wasting your life on envy, bitterness, or self-doubt. You stop allowing fear to dictate your decisions. You start acting from a place of confidence, clarity, and courage, because you know that what you already have is enough to get started, enough to push through, enough to take the first step towards something bigger than yourself. Shifting from scarcity to abundance also changes the way you handle failure. In scarcity, failure feels like the end of the world because you see it as a loss, as a confirmation that you don't have enough, that you are not enough. But in abundance, failure is a lesson, a stepping stone, a temporary detour that provides invaluable insight for the next move. When your mindset is abundant, every setback is a set up. Every rejection becomes redirection. Every obstacle is an opportunity to prove to yourself that you are bigger than the circumstance, stronger than the struggle, and capable of creating solutions where others only see dead ends. Scarcity narrows your world, abundance multiplies it. Scarcity paralyzes, abundance mobilizes. Scarcity keeps you waiting, abundance forces you to act. And the results speak for themselves. The people who operate with an abundant mindset dominate because they see what scarcity-minded people cannot. There is always a way, and it begins with your perspective. Gratitude is the catalyst for this shift. When you are grateful, you begin to see that abundance exists in your life right now. Gratitude trains you to notice the resources at your disposal, the people who support you, the skills you already possess, and the lessons embedded in your failures. And the more you practice gratitude, the easier it becomes to operate from abundance, because you are constantly reinforcing the truth that life is not against you, it is for you. That every experience, every challenge, and every opportunity is a building block. That scarcity is just a story, and abundance is the reality waiting for those who are willing to claim it. This shift is not passive, it is active. It requires intentionality, discipline, and courage. You must refuse to let your mind be poisoned by the lies of lack. You must refuse to let fear dictate your actions. You must make a conscious decision every single day to see abundance, to act from abundance, and to create from abundance. And when you do, something extraordinary happens. Doors open, connections multiply, ideas flow, energy skyrocket. And results begin to compound. You become unstoppable because you are no longer tethered by fear, hesitation, or envy. You are fueled by clarity, focus, and the certainty that there is always enough, that you are more than capable, and that the only limit to your success is the limit you place on your mindset. The truth is that scarcity is a choice and abundance is a choice. Scarcity is the default for those who live passively, who complain, who blame circumstances, and who allow fear to dominate. Abundance is the choice of those who act, who see, who refuse to settle, and who understand that life is not a finite game, but a canvas with limitless potential. When you make the shift, you begin to see opportunity where others see none. You begin to act decisively where others hesitate. You begin to create momentum where others remain stuck. Scarcity holds you hostage. Abundance sets you free. Scarcity limits. Abundance expands. Scarcity whispers doubt. Abundance shouts victory. And the most powerful realization of all is this: the world does not owe you anything, yet abundance is everywhere, ready for those who are willing to open their eyes, open their mind, and claim it with relentless action. To shift from scarcity to abundance is to claim your life, to step into your power, and to operate from a place of unstoppable confidence. It is to understand that what you have right now, your skills, your time, your energy, your experiences, is enough to launch you into a life that others only dream of. It is to refuse to let the fear of not having enough control you. It is to see life as limitless, possibilities as endless, and your potential as infinite. The moment you embrace habit, undance, you stop living small. You stop holding back. You stop doubting yourself. You step into a new reality where action meets opportunity, where persistence meets possibility, and where your life finally reflects the greatness that was waiting inside you all along. Resilience is not something you are born with. It is something you cultivate, something you forge in the fires of struggle, failure, and adversity. And while most people try to toughen themselves through sheer force of will, there is a secret weapon that multiplies resilience far beyond what effort alone can achieve: gratitude. The people who survive, who rise, who dominate in the face of impossible odds are not only strong, they are grateful. They have learned to find something to appreciate even in the midst of pain, disappointment, and setbacks. And it is that appreciation that fuels their comeback. Gratitude is the lens that transforms obstacles into lessons, hardships into opportunities, and despair into determination. When you understand that, resilience is no longer a struggle. It becomes a natural byproduct of how you see the world. Most people react to hardship with frustration, anger, or defeat. They measure their setbacks against the scale of what they have lost rather than what they can gain. They see failure as the end of the road rather than a bend in the path. Scarcity, fear, and self-pity dominate their thinking, and as a result, they collapse under pressure. But when gratitude enters the equation, everything changes. Gratitude forces you to pause, reflect, and recognize that even in adversity, there is something to hold on to, something to learn, something to use as a stepping stone. It forces to focus not on what has been taken from you, but on what remains, on what you can still control, and on the tools you can still leverage to rise stronger than before. Gratitude creates a mental elasticity, a toughness of mind that cannot be broken by external circumstances because it is rooted in awareness, appreciation, and perspective. Think about the most resilient people you know, the ones who never quit, who come back stronger every time life knocks them down. What separates them from those who crumble under pressure is not luck or innate toughness. It is their ability to be grateful. Grateful for lessons disguised as pain. Grateful for the moments that test their limits. Grateful for the people who challenge them, even the ones who betray or disappoint them, because they understand that every struggle carries within it the seeds of growth. Gratitude amplifies resilience because it rewires your brain to see setbacks as opportunities rather than threats, to see challenges as training grounds rather than punishments, and to see life as a series of lessons designed to strengthen, sharpen, and prepare you for the future. When you cultivate gratitude in the face of adversity, you stop reacting emotionally and start responding strategically. You stop spiraling into despair and start calculating your next move. You stop whining about what went wrong and start asking, how can I use this? What can I learn? How can I grow from this? That shift is the difference between giving up and coming back stronger, between mediocrity and greatness. Resilience is not just about bouncing back. It is about bouncing forward, bouncing higher, bouncing harder than you ever have before. And gratitude is the fuel that makes that possible. Without it, resilience is fragile. With it, resilience becomes unstoppable, unshakable, and relentless. Every hardship you encounter is an opportunity for your gratitude to work. Every failure, every rejection, every betrayal, every disappointment, these are the moments when gratitude can amplify your resilience the most. Because when life is easy, when the path is smooth, gratitude is simple. But when life hits hard, when everything seems to be collapsing around you, gratitude is a weapon. It is the anchor that keeps you steady, the compass that points you forward, and the fire that refuses to let you be consumed by the storm. People who are ungrateful during hard times remain victims of circumstance. People who are grateful during hard times become warriors of circumstance. They do not just survive. They dominate, they thrive, and they leave a legacy of strength that others cannot ignore. Gratitude trains your mind to reframe failure. Failure no longer becomes a judgment on your worth, a reflection of your inadequacy, or a permanent setback. Instead, failure becomes feedback, information, and fuel for your next attempt. You begin to see the value hidden in struggle, the lessons concealed in disappointment, and the clarity that emerges from chaos. Gratitude amplifies resilience because it teaches you to extract power from pain, wisdom from loss, and opportunity from adversity. It is not naive optimism. It is strategic, intentional, and fierce. It is the difference between someone who collapses under pressure and someone who uses pressure to forge an unbreakable character. When you practice gratitude consistently, resilience becomes a habit. Your mental toughness grows. Your emotional stability solidifies. And your ability to face challenges without being crushed becomes second nature. You stop fearing difficulty because you have trained yourself to see it as fuel. You stop doubting your ability to overcome because you recognize the resources, skills, and lessons you already possess. You stop feeling like life is unfair because you understand that every experience, every struggle, and every setback is an opportunity to grow stronger, sharper, and more capable. Gratitude creates a mental and emotional immunity against defeat because it focuses your attention on what is possible, what is present, and what can be leveraged for your advantage. Resilience without gratitude is brittle. It can be shattered by the first real challenge because it relies solely on willpower or toughness. But resilience with gratitude is unbreakable. It thrives in adversity, it learns from hardship, and it transforms every negative experience into a catalyst for growth. Gratitude teaches patience, endurance, and perseverance because it reminds you that setbacks are temporary, that struggles are meaningful, and that your capacity to overcome is far greater than you realize. When you adopt gratitude as a core part of your mindset, you no longer fear challenges. You embrace them. You no longer dread failure. You study it. You no longer feel defeated. You mobilize, adapt, and rise with intensity that others cannot comprehend. Consider the moments in your life when everything went wrong, when doors closed, when people doubted you, when pain was overwhelming. Imagine if in those moments, instead of despairing, you found one to be thankful for, one lesson, one support, one skill, one opportunity. That single act of gratitude would have shifted your energy, your focus, and your mindset. It would have allowed you to see beyond the immediate pain and recognize the potential growth hidden within it. That is the power of gratitude. It does not remove hardship, but it transforms your response to it, amplifying your resilience in ways that pure determination or willpower alone cannot. Gratitude also strengthens your emotional intelligence, your patience, and your ability to endure long-term challenges. People who are ungrateful often crumble emotionally under pressure because they focus on loss, scarcity, and unfairness. People who are grateful maintain perspective, control their emotions, and respond rather than react. That emotional stability, coupled with an acute awareness of opportunity, makes resilience more than just recovery. It makes it domination. You start to see adversity as a proving ground, and every challenge becomes a test of your mental, emotional, and spiritual strength. And the one tool that allows you to pass that test over and over again is gratitude. Finally, resilience amplified by gratitude creates momentum. Every time you overcome an obstacle, every time you use a setback as fuel, every time you rise stronger, your confidence compounds. You begin to see yourself as unbreakable. You begin to trust your ability to handle anything. You begin to act with courage, determination, and relentless intensity. Gratitude is the engine that powers this transformation. It allows you to convert pain into power, challenge into growth, and adversity into opportunity. Without gratitude, resilience is limited. With gratitude, resilience becomes limitless. It is unstoppable. It is fierce. It is the difference between living a life defined by circumstance and living a life defined by mastery. When you embrace gratitude, you stop wasting energy on resentment, self-pity, and defeat. You stop blaming others for your circumstances. You stop letting life break you. Instead, you harness every experience, every challenge, and every setback as fuel to rise higher, push harder, and dominate every area of your life. Gratitude amplifies resilience because it shifts your mindset from victimhood to victory, from despair to determination, and from weakness to unstoppable strength. And once you truly understand this, nothing can hold you back. Not failure, not criticism, not betrayal, not loss. You become unshakable because you are fueled by gratitude. And when gratitude drives your resilience, your potential becomes limitless. Momentum is everything in life. Without momentum, effort is wasted. Without momentum, talent goes unnoticed, dreams fade, and potential dies in silence. Many people wait for the perfect day, the perfect opportunity, the perfect conditions to take action, and as a result, they stagnate. They blame circumstances, wait for permission, and hope that motivation will magically appear. But the truth is that motivation is fleeting. Discipline is fleeting. The only thing that lasts, the only thing that compounds and creates unstoppable forward motion is momentum. And momentum is built through daily practice. Daily practice is not optional for those who are serious about their dreams. It is the engine that propels you forward when everything else tells you to stop. It is the difference between those who talk about greatness and those who live it. Daily practice is not about perfection. It is about persistence. It is not about doing things flawlessly every single time. It is about showing up consistently, doing the work, and refusing to let excuses or emotions dictate your actions. When you engage in daily practice, even when you don't feel like it, even when the world is against you, you are building a force so powerful that it cannot be stopped. Momentum doesn't come from occasional effort. It comes from repeated effort, compounded over time, until the energy you create in one day carries over into the next and the next and the next. That is why so many people fail. They wait for big moments to make big moves. But the reality is that big moves are the result of small, consistent actions repeated daily. When you commit to daily practice, your mind begins to rewire itself. You develop habits that bypass motivation and rely instead on discipline, routine, and consistency. You stop negotiating with yourself about whether to act or not, because action becomes automatic. Momentum is born out of these repeated actions. The small victories you create every day, the progress you accumulate, the effort you put in even when no one is watching, all of it compounds into a force that carries you forward. And once momentum builds, it becomes unstoppable. Obstacles no longer intimidate you. Challenges no longer overwhelm you. Criticism no longer shakes you. The energy you have created through daily practice propels you past doubt, fear, and fatigue, and it transforms potential into results many people underestimate. The power of small, consistent T actions. They look at the mountains they need to climb, the goals that seem impossible, and they feel paralyzed. But the truth is that every mountain is climbed one step at a time, and every step counts. Daily practice is the step-by-step accumulation of effort, skill, and mastery. It is the repetition that builds strength, the repetition that sharpens skill, the repetition that develops mental toughness. When you practice daily, you are training yourself to endure discomfort, to push past resistance, and to embrace the grind. You are creating a habit of action that makes it impossible for excuses, fear, or procrastination to dominate your life. The person who shows up every day, who puts in the work without fail, will always outpace the one who waits for inspiration or favorable circumstances. Momentum is the multiplier that separates the average from the extraordinary. Daily practice also develops confidence, and confidence feeds momentum. Every time you take consistent action, you prove to yourself that you are capable. Every time you overcome resistance, you reinforce the truth that you can handle difficulty. Every time you accumulate skill, knowledge, and experience, you prepare yourself for the next challenge. Confidence is not built in moments of comfort. It is forged in the repetition of deliberate effort, day after day. And confidence, once established, accelerates momentum because you begin to trust yourself to act, to execute, and to handle whatever comes your way. Momentum feeds confidence, and confidence feeds momentum. It is a cycle that grows stronger with every day of consistent practice. Another powerful aspect of daily practice is that it transforms you, our mindset. When you show up every day, when you refuse to miss a single opportunity to work, learn, or grow, you internalize a truth that cannot be taken away. You are relentless. You are disciplined. You are capable of greatness. This mindset is essential because momentum is not just physical, it is psychological. The force that propels you forward is as much in your mind as it is in your actions. Daily practice conditions your mind to expect progress, to embrace effort, and to persist even when results are slow. The moment you internalize this truth, you stop being discouraged by setbacks. You stop doubting yourself. You stop fearing failure. You develop an unstoppable mentality, a relentless drive that refuses to quit no matter the circumstances. Momentum also creates an invisible advantage. When you are moving consistently, the world starts to notice. Opportunities begin to align. Doors start to open. People begin to trust your reliability, your work ethic, and your commitment. The energy you generate through daily practice is contagious. It radiates outward, attracting opportunities, mentors, and resources that those who lack momentum cannot access. Momentum is not just personal, it is relational. It positions you in the world as someone who does not wait, someone who acts, someone who moves forward relentlessly, and that is magnetic. Success begins to chase you when you create momentum. Because momentum is visible in action, results, and consistency. Many people confuse talent with momentum, but talent alone is meaningless without action. Talent without practice stagnates. Talent without momentum dies. Momentum is the great equalizer, the force that allows average PE to surpass those who rely solely on ability. You can have raw talent, intelligence, or opportunity. But if you fail to act consistently, if you fail to practice daily, you will be left behind. Daily practice ensures that your skills are honed, your abilities sharpened, and your mindset hardened. It turns potential energy into kinetic energy, transforming what is possible into what is inevitable. Momentum ensures that you are always moving forward, even when the world is trying to push you back. Daily practice also builds resilience because showing up consistently, even when you are tired, discouraged, or uncertain, teaches you to endure. You learn to push past discomfort. You learn to embrace challenges. You learn to thrive under pressure. The discipline developed through daily practice strengthens your mind, your body, and your spirit. You become unshakable because you have proven to yourself that no matter what, you can take action. You have created a rhythm, a force, and a habit that propels you forward, regardless of circumstances. Momentum born from daily practice is not contingent on luck, mood, or external conditions. It is unstoppable because it comes from within. The truth is that most people fail not because they lack ability, but because they lack consistency. They start strong, burn out, lose focus, and wait for inspiration to return. Momentum, however, is built by showing up every single day, whether you feel like it or not. Every day you commit to practice. Every day you take action. Every day you build skills and knowledge. You are compounding your effort into a force so powerful that it becomes unstoppable. The cumulative effect of daily practice is what separates the dreamers from the achievers, the talkers from the doers, the average from the extraordinary. Finally, daily practice creates confidence in your own agency. When you show up consistently, you stop feeling like life is happening to you. You stop blaming circumstances, luck, or other people for your lack of progress. You internalize the truth that your future is in your hands, that your actions determine your results, and that the only way to achieve extraordinary success is to take deliberate, consistent steps every single day. Momentum is created when action meets consistency, and daily practice ensures that you never run out of forward motion. It is the secret weapon of champions, the engine of achievement, and the foundation of unstoppable success. Those who embrace daily practice understand that greatness is not a single act. It is the accumulation of relentless, consistent effort. They understand that momentum is not an accident. It is intentional, built brick by brick, day by day, through repeated action. They understand that the small efforts compounded over time create results so massive that the world cannot ignore them. Momentum built through daily practice is unstoppable, unshakable, and inevitable. It is the force that separates those who wish from those who achieve, those who dream from those who dominate, those who talk about greatness from those who live it every single day. Relationships are the backbone of success, the foundation upon which influence, opportunity, and legacy are built. Yet most people sabotage their own growth because they fail to recognize the power of gratitude in their relationships. They take people for granted. They ignore the support systems around them, and they operate with entitlement, expecting loyalty, respect, or love, without ever acknowledging what others bring to their lives. Gratitude changes all of that. It transforms how you see others, how you interact with them, and how they respond to you. It creates trust, loyalty, and energy in ways that ambition alone cannot. When you understand the power of gratitude in relationships, you realize that success is never a solo mission. It is amplified by the people who stand with you, challenge you, and push you forward. The moment you begin to express gratitude consistently in your relationships, something extraordinary happens. You start noticing the people who invest in you, even in small ways, and you begin to recognize their value. You stop taking their presence, guidance, and support for granted. You stop focusing on what they owe you or what they failed to do, and you start appreciating what they contribute. Gratitude rewires your mind to see the network of support that has always been there, the friends, mentors, family, and colleagues who have quietly helped you along the way. When you appreciate people, they respond differently. They become more loyal, more willing to support you, more inspired to see you succeed, because people are drawn to those who value them, not those who use them. Most conflicts in relationships come from a lack of appreciation, a sense of entitlement, or a focus on scarcity, what someone is not doing for you rather than what they are doing. When your mindset shifts to gratitude, scarcity vanishes. You start seeing the abundance in every relationship. You begin to recognize the lessons, the encouragement, the guidance, and even the challenges that are provided by those around you. Every interaction becomes an opportunity to express acknowledgement, to strengthen bonds, and to generate energy. Gratitude is not passive, it is active. It is a force multiplier that enhances relationships because it builds trust, respect, and loyalty that cannot be bought, manipulated, or faked. People notice when you see their value, when you acknowledge their effort, and when you consistently express appreciation. That is how gratitude transforms ordinary relationships into powerful alliances. Expressing gratitude also changes your energy. When you are thankful for the people in your life, your interactions are filled with positivity, authenticity, and respect. You become a magnet for cooperation, mentorship, and collaboration. People want to work with those who value them, who recognize their contributions, and who create an environment of mutual respect and encouragement. On the other hand, those who take others for granted, who fail to acknowledge effort, or who operate from a mindset of scarcity, repel opportunities, burn bridges, and isolate themselves. Gratitude enhances relationships by creating an energy that cannot be ignored, a force that attracts support, influence, and collaboration. It positions you as someone others want to stand beside, someone others want to fight for, someone others want to see succeed. Gratitude also strengthens your emotional intelligence, which is critical in every relationship. When you consistently acknowledge the efforts, sacrifices, and presence of others, you become more attuned to their emotions, more empathetic to their struggles, and more aware of their needs. This awareness enhances your ability to communicate effectively, to resolve conflict, and to create synergy. Gratitude teaches you to listen, to validate, and to appreciate perspectives other than your own. And when you operate with this level of emotional awareness, your relationships deepen, your influence grows, and your network becomes a source of opportunity, support, and growth rather than tension, friction, or stagnation. Another key aspect of gratitude in relationships is accountability. When you acknowledge the value others bring into your life, you feel a responsibility to rise to the occasion. You recognize that you are part of a network of influence and support, and that your actions impact not only your life, but the lives of those around you. Gratitude encourages reciprocity, not in a transactional sense, but in a mindset of responsibility, respect, and contribution. When you are grateful, you operate with integrity, you honor commitments, and you invest in others as much as they invest in you. That accountability strengthens relationships and builds a cycle of trust, loyalty, and mutual growth that cannot be broken. Resilient relationships are rooted in gratitude because it transforms perception. Challenges in relationships are inevitable. Misunderstandings, disagreements, unmet expectations. But gratitude gives you a lens through which to interpret conflict constructively. Instead of focusing on flaws, shortcomings, or disappointments, you focus on what is working, on the positive contributions, and on the potential for growth. Gratitude in relationships amplifies patience, tolerance, and empathy. It allows you to navigate difficult moments without eroding trust or connection. It prevents resentment from taking root, and it strengthens the emotional bond that holds people together even in adversity. The power of gratitude extends beyond personal relationships. It influences professional relationships, mentorship, and networking. When you consistently acknowledge and appreciate the guidance, feedback, and opportunities provided by mentors or colleagues, you build credibility, loyalty, and influence. People notice those who see their value, those who recognize effort, and those who take the time to express thanks. Gratitude is a strategic advantage in any environment. It opens doors that ambition alone cannot. It deepens connections that talent alone cannot sustain. And it generates goodwill that will follow you long after you leave the room. Relationships fueled by gratitude are resilient, productive, and capable of amplifying your potential far beyond what you could achieve alone. It is also important to recognize that gratitude is contagious. When you consistently demonstrate appreciation, it inspires others to do the same. Your energy sets a tone. Your acknowledgement creates an environment where others feel valued and empowered. And that environment multiplies productivity, creativity, and collaboration. Gratitude does not just enhance relationships, it transforms the culture around you. It turns ordinary interactions into meaningful connections, casual acquaintances into loyal allies, and fleeting encounters into lasting partnerships. People want to be around those who uplift them, who recognize their efforts, and who operate from a place of abundance rather than entitlement. Gratitude positions you as a leader, a collaborator, and a magnet for positive influence. Finally, gratitude enhances relationships by anchoring your perspective in humility. It reminds you that no one achieves success alone, that every opportunity is supported by others, and that your journey is interconnected with the people around you. When you operate from humility, you acknowledge the contributions of others without diminishing your own effort. You recognize that relationships are not a zero-sum game. They are a symbiotic network of influence, support, and growth. Gratitude allows you to navigate this network with wisdom, intention, and strength, ensuring that every connection becomes a source of empowerment rather than tension. When you embrace gratitude in your relationships, you unlock doors that ambition, skill, and talent alone cannot. You cultivate loyalty, deepen trust, and generate energy that propels everyone involved forward. You create an environment where people want to support you, challenge you, and stand with you. You build networks that endure challenges, thrive under pressure, and amplify your potential. Gratitude transforms ordinary relationships into extraordinary catalysts for growth, success, and legacy. Those who understand this principle move differently, communicate differently, and live differently because they know the power of acknowledging, valuing, and appreciating the people who make their journey possible. Gratitude in relationships is not passive. It is a strategic, intentional, and relentless practice. It creates loyalty where there is indifference, trust where there is doubt, and energy where there is stagnation. It turns allies into champions, challenges into opportunities, and interactions into legacies. The people who master the practice of gratitude in their relationships are unstoppable because they are supported, empowered, and amplified by the network they nurture. Relationships, when fueled by gratitude, are not just connections. They are engines of opportunity, resilience, and influence that elevate everyone involved. Pain is inevitable. Life will hit you. Life will knock you down, betray you, challenge you, and test every ounce of your strength, discipline, and courage. Pain is relentless, unforgiving, and merciless. And if you allow it to dominate your mind, it will destroy your progress, your confidence, and your spirit. But here is the truth that most people fail to understand. Pain is not your enemy. Pain is a tool, a weapon, and a fuel source. And gratitude is the mechanism that converts that pain into unstoppable power. Gratitude turns what could break you into what builds you. It transforms suffering into strategy, hurt into energy, and obstacles into opportunities. When you embrace gratitude in the midst of pain, nothing can stop you because you have discovered the secret that separates the weak from the unstoppable, the ordinary from the extraordinary. Most people respond to pain with anger, bitterness, or self-pity. They focus on the unfairness, on what was taken from them, on the fact that life is not just, and in doing so, they allow pain to consume them. Scarcity, fear, and resentment dominate their mindset, and they spiral into despair. But gratitude changes the equation. Gratitude allows you to see beyond the immediate suffering, to recognize the lessons hidden in adversity, and to extract energy from hardship. When you are grateful for the experience of pain, for the clarity it provides, and for the opportunity it gives you to grow, you convert a force that could destroy you into a fuel that propels you forward with unstoppable intensity. Every challenge, every setback, every betrayal, every failure contains within it the seeds of growth, strength, and transformation. Gratitude allows you to see those seeds and nurture them. It forces you to ask, what can I learn from this? How can this experience make me stronger? How can I use this to rise faster, work harder, and dominate my path? Pain becomes the teacher. And gratitude is the lens that allows you to extract the lesson, the insight, and the energy hidden within the struggle. Without gratitude, pain is destructive. With gratitude, pain becomes constructive, powerful, and transformative. Consider the moments in your life when you felt broken, when everything seemed unfair, when it felt like the world was against you. In those moments, if you focus solely on the suffering, you remain trapped. You feel powerless, stuck, and defeated. But when you apply gratitude, even in the smallest way, your perspective shifts. You begin to see the opportunity, the lesson, the growth, or the strength that the pain is producing in you. Suddenly, what once felt like a burden becomes a resource. What once felt like a setback becomes a springboard. Gratitude is the alchemy that turns struggle into strength, hurt into motivation, and challenge into achievement. Pain without action is wasted. It consumes energy, clouds judgment, and paralyzes ambition. But when gratitude is applied to pain, action becomes inevitable. You no longer focus on the unfairness or the discomfort. You focus on what you can control, what you can create, and how you can leverage the experience to your advantage. Every setback becomes fuel for the next move. Every hurt becomes a reason to work harder, smarter, and more relentlessly. Gratitude channels your energy into productivity, focus, and execution, converting negative experiences into momentum that drives you toward your goals with relentless intensity. Pain also reveals your true character, and gratitude amplifies the lessons. When life hits hard, when betrayal stings, when failure humbles you, your response defines you. Most people respond with resentment or defeat, but those who practice gratitude respond with clarity, resilience, and strategy. Gratitude forces you to acknowledge the opportunity hidden in adversity, the insight in struggle, and the preparation embedded in difficulty. It transforms reactive energy into proactive energy. It turns frustration into focus. It converts despair into determination. Gratitude in the midst of pain is the difference between a person who folds under pressure and a person who rises stronger, faster, and more prepared than ever before. When pain hits, you have two choices. Let it destroy you or let it empower you. Gratitude makes the second choice inevitable. It trains your mind to see that even in suffering, there is something valuable. Even in betrayal, there is clarity. Even in failure, there is instruction. You begin to recognize that pain is temporary, but the lessons, strength, and skills you extract from it are permanent. You learn that no circumstance, no person, and no event has the power to break you unless you allow it to. Gratitude is the lens T. Hat transforms adversity into advantage and suffering into fuel. Gratitude also fuels persistence. Pain can make you quit. Pain can make you feel exhausted, unworthy, or defeated. But when you are grateful for the growth, for the clarity, and for the opportunity that pain provides, you develop a relentless mentality that refuses to quit. You push past fatigue, disappointment, and frustration because you understand that every ounce of pain endured compounds into an exponential return of strength, skill, and resilience. Pain becomes the energy source that feeds discipline, determination, and relentless execution. Gratitude converts suffering into a powerful engine that drives you forward, even when the odds are stacked against you. Even when everyone else is giving up, many people fail to see the connection between gratitude and success because they think gratitude is passive, gentle, or soft. But gratitude in the context of pain is fierce. It is aggressive. It is intentional. It is a decision to dominate your circumstances rather than be dominated by them. It is the understanding that every challenge, every obstacle, every betrayal, and every loss contains a seed that can make you stronger, wiser, and more powerful than you were before. Gratitude allows you to identify that seed, nurture it, and use it as fuel to attack the next challenge with even greater force. Gratitude also strengthens mental toughness. Pain is inevitable, but the way you handle it is optional. When you practice gratitude in adversity, you train your mind to stay focused, disciplined, and unshakable. You stop reacting emotionally. You stop wasting energy on anger or self-pity. You channel that energy into creativity, problem solving, and relentless action. Every time you transform pain into fuel through gratitude, you reinforce a pattern of resilience that cannot be broken. Your mind becomes your greatest ally, and your ability to endure, adapt, and conquer becomes unstoppable. Finally, gratitude ensures that pain does not define you. It empowers you. Pain can humble can motivate, but gratitude converts that motivation into mastery. You learn to see every hardship as a setup, every disappointment as instruction, and every challenge as preparation for your next level. Gratitude turns pain into fuel, and fuel creates momentum. Momentum creates results. Results create confidence. Confidence creates domination. And the person who masters the art of turning pain into fuel through gratitude becomes unbreakable, unstoppable, and unstoppable in pursuit of their purpose. In the end, pain is unavoidable. Life will hit you hard, sometimes unfairly, sometimes relentlessly, and sometimes without warning. But gratitude gives you the power to turn every hit into energy, every struggle into momentum, and every setback into preparation for greatness. Gratitude transforms weakness into strength, failure into strategy, and adversity into advantage. Those who embrace this truth do not just survive pain, they harness it, they leverage it, they dominate through it, they rise above it. And in doing so, they become unstoppable forces capable of achieving what others only dream of because they have discovered the ultimate secret. When gratitude fuels your pain, nothing can hold you back. Consistency is the foundation of success, the invisible force that separates the dreamers from the achievers, the talkers from the doers, and the ordinary from the extraordinary. You can have talent, you can have intelligence, you can have vision, but without consistent action, none of it matters. Momentum stalls, opportunities slip through your fingers, potential remains unfulfilled. And this is where gratitude enters the battlefield as the ultimate game changer. Gratitude is not just a feeling, it is a fuel, a motivator, and a compass. It is the fire that keeps you moving when the world is quiet, when motivation fades, and when discipline wavers. When gratitude fuels your action, consistency becomes inevitable, unstoppable, and relentless. And that is what turns ordinary effort into extraordinary results. Many people struggle to take consistent action because they focus solely on outcomes. They measure effort by immediate results. And when results don't appear fast enough, they give up. They burn out, they quit, they lose hope, and they tell themselves it's not worth it. But gratitude shifts the focus from outcomes to process. It allows you to see that every step you take, every action you execute, and every effort you invest matters, regardless of immediate payoff. Gratitude reminds you that the work itself is valuable, that your growth is happening even when it is unseen, and that every small step compounds into massive results over time. When your action is fueled by gratitude, you stop chasing instant results and start building long-term impact. Gratitude makes action sustainable. When you operate from a mindset of appreciation for the opportunities you have, the skills you've developed, the support you've received, and even the challenges that test you, your energy or effort becomes inexhaustible. You begin to see every action as a chance to honor what you have, to respect the journey, and to invest in your growth. This perspective transforms effort from a burden into a privilege. You no longer force yourself to act out of obligation or fear. You act out of acknowledgement, respect, and intentionality. Gratitude turns every step, every practice session, every phone call, every meeting, every project, and every moment of effort into a celebration of your capacity to move, to grow, and to achieve. Consistency requires discipline, and discipline often falters when you rely solely on willpower or external motivation. But gratitude reinforces discipline in a way that is sustainable and self-reinforcing. When you are grateful for the ability to act, for the skills you possess, and for the opportunity to improve, you create internal accountability. You begin to see each action as an investment in yourself and in your future. You no longer wait for motivation because gratitude itself becomes the reason to act. You do not skip steps. You do not procrastinate, and you do not delay progress, because each action is infused with the awareness of value, opportunity, and purpose. Gratitude transforms discipline from something forced into something natural, and that is the key to consistency. Many people underestimate how gratitude fuels persistence. Life will always be hard. Obstacles will appear. Critics will speak. Failure will knock at your door. And if you are not careful, it is easy to retreat, to slow down, and to lose momentum. When gratitude is your fuel, you refuse to stop. You understand that every action you take is a chance to honor the people who believe in you, the sacrifices you've made, and the lessons you've learned. You understand that giving up is not an option, because you are acknowledging the journey itself, the struggle itself, and the opportunity itself. Gratitude drives you to show up consistently, even when it is inconvenient, uncomfortable, or unseen, because you recognize the inherent value in your efforts. Action without gratitude is mechanical, robotic, and uninspired. It may produce results temporarily, but it is prone to burnout and stagnation. Action with gratitude is intentional, inspired, and unstoppable. It transforms every task into a statement of purpose, every challenge into a chance to prove yourself, and every setback into a catalyst for renewed energy. When gratitude fuels action, you act not because you have to, but because you understand what it means to move, to grow, and to honor the process. That is the difference between mediocre effort that fizzles out and consistent action that compounds into extraordinary results. Gratitude also sharpens focus, which is essential for consistent action. When you are grateful for the opportunities and resources in front of you, you stop being distracted by what you lack, by comparison, or by envy.